Welcome to The Shield Within. The issues discussed on the Shield Within podcast do not reflect the opinions of any specific agency. They are the views of the host and the guest. Any persons discussed may be fictional for comedic purposes only. This podcast is rated explicit and listener discretion is advised. Listening to The Shield Within may trigger repressed or suppressed memories or experiences. Please contact a mental health professional at your earliest convenience. It's time for the chaos to cease.
Time to open yourself to peace.
From the hours you've put in.
To the next shift you begin.
From the endless pursuit of release.
That finds the worst unleashed.
Transform the ugly into a win.
Get to know your shield within.
Prepare yourself for part 2.
Yes.
Yes. Welcome to The Shield Within.
Good evening.
We are in the offices of the legendary Dr. Molly Hall. Yes, we are so excited to be here. Thanks for listening to whatever number Donnie put on the other episode. Here's the second half of it. And it's we were sitting here. We had to take a little break. Our first one there was just about an hour. And we took a little break and come back. So let's do a little bit of business, and we're going to jump right back into this because we really started some good dialogue.
During the break.
Yes, off the air. So stop by our social media. We are on Instagram. Just look up The Shield Within. Facebook, /The Shield Within. www.shieldwithin.com. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so. Just hit the message button. That comes straight to my phone, hopefully. And if I'm not out of state, I will answer you sooner than later. So for those of us who have taken a minute, I apologize. Keep listening. Or if you want to hire Dr. David himself. He's not a real doctor. We'll just say that again. We haven't said that in a while, have we?
Right. I'm not a real doctor.
Yeah. Nor did you. Yeah, play one on TV.
Yeah.
But lessonslearnedcoaching.com will get you to him. Or hit the coaching button on The Shield Within. So here we are. We're sitting around the table. This is our first mobile show. We packed everything up. We came down here to Centerville, and in Dr. Hall's office, which is a beautiful place. Mm-hmm. And we're set up here in the what is this? The waiting room?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a nice waiting room. It's comfortable. It's pleasing.
Very much so.
Designed to help people feel that this is a unique, safe space.
Awesome.
I think it's well accomplished.
Yes, I think you did well.
And thank you.
Very comfortable in here.
Yeah.
So when we came in here, we were talking about the last episode we ended on getting some sleep.
Yes.
Which is, oh my God, is so huge about getting y'all back to sleep. And you start using alcohol as a kind of a remedy. Because I can go down to 7-Eleven and buy alcohol. you know, I don't need a prescription for that. And I know that some of the sleep remedies that I had, I mean, my concoction was a 5 milligram melatonin, half of a NyQuil gel cap. Why don't you use Z-Quil? Well, it just didn't have the same effect. But for me, that was a decent concoction, and that got me about 5 hours. Now, when I was on the job, we worked 12-hour shifts. And so you always, they're like, how do you get used to midnights? You don't. You get used to feeling like shit. That's what you get used to. It becomes second nature. Now, I'm a morning person. Of course, those of us that are in my chat group, we have 6 of us that are in the chat group, right? I always say, hey, good morning. And they're like, motherfucker, it's 4:30. Go back to bed. Yes. They're like, I don't know, they kind of restricted me, wait till about 6:37 before you get on your little high horse there, Mark. But because I'm a morning person and working midnights is total. I was a fish in the desert. So I took a trip down to Florida. We had to cannonball run down there because my wife's job. So she ended her client. She left her client. She got on 5 o'clock. We jumped in the truck and she had a meeting the next morning by 9 a.m. So we had to be in Florida and we were hauling. So we got down there, thank God, the 9 o'clock called and said, hey, can we push back? And she's like, absolutely. So we had a little bit of breathing room. Yeah. So she was able to meet her 10 o'clock meeting, and then her day went on from there, but she slept all the way down while I drove. Now, I hadn't felt that bad in 2 years since I left the job. And I'm like, oh, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. But I remembered the feeling. Go ahead.
Yes. Sleep, man, it just robs everything.
It really does.
Your thinking, your emotionality, your physical well-being. Oh, my God.
Yep.
It makes a huge impact on every part of your functioning.
I don't remember, excuse me, we were at Buc Ee's there in South Georgia. And if you're in the South, go to Buc Ee's. Buccees. It's an enormous, stupidly large. Have you heard of it, Dr. Hall? Oh yeah, this is white trash heaven. You go to Buc Ee's. I told you I could get a little over the top, but it's enormous. I mean, they take these totally deserted exits and they build this. I bet this thing is 10 acres. This gas station is 10 acres. It's got a gigantic, I don't know,
parking lot,
store. Yeah,
gas.
I mean it's a phenomenon. So we stopped there. We filled up. I mean the diesel fuel was just because I have a diesel 1-ton truck, and so we topped off. And that was the last time we stopped. And that was the last vivid memory I had until the next day when I woke up. I was totally in zombie mode.
Yeah,
I was on autopilot. I mean, there's some memories. I mean, I remember dropping the trailer off because we hauled my wife's car down because we bought an Airstream. Talked about that in the last one. We were going to pull the Airstream back. So I said, we got too many cars in Ohio. We need to take one back. So we hauled her little car down there, which is my joke. She has a Kia Soul. So she said, I left my soul in Florida.
It's pretty cute. It's pretty cute. Yeah.
Yeah, bad joke. Dad jokes, right? But sleep is such a major. It's a major thing because cops we got them driving around sleepy.
Oh yeah.
My guys, when they were trying to hide. I'm like, don't fucking hide sleep, bro. If you need that power nap, you come and get the old Sarge. You'll go sleep. I'll go find you. Go to the station, and luckily. That's one of the few good things that the new boss did was they put lazy boys in there because our policy states unauthorized sleeping is against policy. So finally they give them something to rack out on. So thank goodness they recognized that. Now, how much is it implemented? I don't know. But I wanted to put a lazy boy chair in my office when I was still working. And my boss at the time, absolutely not. Why? You guys be in there sleeping. Yeah. Go ahead and laugh on the air about that. Yes. Would you rather they be out crashing their cruiser?
Right.
Or would they come in here with permission, take a 45-minute power nap, get refreshed, and get back on the job? No, he'd rather they crash the car.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my story.
So we've developed all these rules in, physician training programs, which are, by the standards of the ones who, I trained in the old days, right? We were 100-hour weeks, blah, blah, blah. But, they came down very rigidly on the number of hours that, young doctors are allowed to work, how often they have to have a break, how often they have to go home and go to sleep. And that came on the heels of a death in the emergency room of a young woman who was on cocaine and was given medications that were fatal, basically.
Right.
And as a result,
because she was fatigued because she was using
no. The doctor, the story is it's the Libby Zion story. And Libby Zion was the daughter of a prominent attorney he actually lived in Greenwich Village, and his daughter was on a combination of medications when she came into the emergency room.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And
didn't share that.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. But as a result, her legal father insisted on, at the state level, it started in New York State, that 80-hour work weeks, max, you can only work X number of hours and then you have to go home, so I think that's important. I think someone's finally said, wait a minute, do you want a doctor who's been up for 36 hours?
No.
Right?
There's no need for it. There really isn't. There should be enough staff to bring the fresh horses,
The argument against it is that you don't have the opportunity then if you're treating learning medicine like a shift, right? Which is how it appropriately ensures sleep and rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
The argument against it has been, well, then you don't see the outcome of what you did, and you don't get to really learn whether the intervention you made was useful. I mean, because that's the argument against doing something like forcing.
Okay.
Yeah. Did that make any sense?
Not one bit.
Yeah, all right.
Well, it makes sense to me. Okay, and how it makes sense is that you're there and you can see the progression along. But where I think that's the old thinking, but I have to get used to new medicine, whereas I don't call my doctor. I don't call Dr. Cox and say, hey, I got this wrong. They said, well, go to the emergency room, go to after hours, go to this, go to that. There's different layers before, and he's just the general practitioner now. This is the guy that signs my med card and renews my prescriptions, and he looks at my blood work and he keeps me, I don't know, running,
Yeah.
But if I had an eye infection the other day, well, I went to the little clinic at Kroger's.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They're in the Kettering network, which is what I'm in. So I went up there, boom, check your blood pressure, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, we can take care of you on that, which is kind of cool because the doctor there used to be a cop.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
So I kind of ways mannerisms. I'm like, did you used to be on the job? And he's like, why do you ask that? I said, no, answer my question. Don't answer my question with a question, which is the reason why I'm asking you why you've been on the job. And he had been. He was a hospital cop. And his now wife was a nurse who's now a nurse practitioner. And she's like, we're making a hell of a lot more money doing this. Get rid of the cop job. So, and I thought I had recognized him from the academy.
Huh.
But, how many bald-headed guys can you see?
Well,
but anyway, sorry, I hijacked that a little bit.
No. What was a mannerism you picked up on?
Straightforwardness, just the way he carried himself,
Okay.
The direct, eye-to-eye contact. You can tell when you get a first responder in here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, David, yeah. You get a first responder walk in the door, see how they got a different swagger to them?
Okay, yeah.
How they act, how they interact with people.
The nonverbals are fairly consistent. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay.
that's what I was picking up on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he was being empathetic, but it was kind of like, not. I don't know a good way to describe it, but I was just kind of like, this fucker acts like a cop. Did you just be on the job? And he's like, and there's some people ask that, they're like, on the job, what does that mean? Then you weren't. Okay. So, it's kind of like if you have what we call nystagmus. You know what nystagmus is, right? When I teach, because I teach that in the academy, and usually I ask them, do you have a natural nystagmus? And they say, huh? You don't have it. Because if you do, your doctor's told you have it, right?
Right.
So that's how. Yeah, that was one clue I was teaching my students. But
And it's like when I ask a patient, so have you ever actually had a panic attack?
No.
You would know it if.
Oh my God! Funny story, real quick. My relief sergeant, Nick the Cop, on another show. He actually thought he was having a panic attack and was having a heart attack.
Oh, Jesus.
He legit had two of them as a young age.
Wow.
Yeah. His daddy died young. And as he was going in and was having a medical eval and realized he thought he was having a panic attack. He was actually having a heart attack. I'm like, oh my God, dude. But everyone thinks they're having a panic attack thinking they're having, because their heart's racing, blood pressure's through the roof.
You think you're going to die, actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you do. Oh, trust me.
And all you have to have is a history of having had one on the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
In conjunction with someone having asked for help, and I got to take this vest off. I got to get out. I'm suffocating. I'm suffocating, right? It's pretty hard to go back.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, thank goodness I had my first one at Police Fleet Expo. I got in the Richard Petty driving experience.
Okay.
And after I got wedged in to that NASCAR to drive around the track, was like a 95 degrees, and they put you in this fire suit and this full face helmet, and I'm sweating profusely.
Oh, you're making me anxious.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And so we pull up, and the guy's like, "What's going to be? I'm out of here before we get going." I'm like, "The fuck it is," and out I came. The guy's like, "You're all right," and I'm like, "Ah!" Man, I am freaked the f out. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? What's going on? And because I've been through EMDR, where did I go?
Safe place.
Exactly. I went over in the corner.
Yep.
I took that shit off. I grounded.
Right.
I went to safe place.
Right.
I'm kind of getting there again. I'm going to take a minute. And then I was ready.
Yeah.
So as it worked out, I ended up in the rotation with the first guy, and the dude's like, "You gonna be all right?" Because you were like losing your shit, and I'm like, "I'm fine now." Well, and I was fine after that. I said, "But we can't sit here and wait." I don't know why we were waiting, but they were still cleaning the track when they started loading people, and that just a scheduling problem. But whew, man, that was that was not good.
Right. I'm curious. It's 7:30 on 8 o'clock on a Thursday night. Do you get crisis calls during the evenings and weekends?
From my patients?
From your patients?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you do with them? Do you talk with them directly? Or
yeah. Oh,
do
yeah.
you?
Oh, yeah.
So-
I have to do an instant kind of assessment of, first of all, who's sending the message, right? And is this a part of a recurrent pattern of a personality, right?
Okay.
So I don't think that there's danger level is high.
Right.
But I'll always text them right back and say, I will call you in half an hour, and then I'll call them, and if necessary, I schedule time on Sunday if necessary, do whatever is necessary, right, to calm the fire.
Right.
Now, I'm in the process of training just a crackerjack new office manager who essentially has my, preference and understands it, which is anytime you can connect with a human voice versus the recording, do
Yes.
it. Do it. Answer the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather know than just try to pick up a voice message later.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yes, I do. So I guess that's a short answer.
Absolutely.
A long answer.
Do you get people with panic attacks calling you?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
What do you do then?
Yeah.
I try to just get a sense of whether or not they can slow down enough, look around, describe the room to me, tell me where you are, and, tell me who's home, and, but they can't talk too well, but at least, I'm trying to get them to think about something else.
Yeah. Distraction.
Yeah.
Grounding, like we do with the grounding.
Yes, it is grounding.
Yeah. Take a look at it.
Take a look.
Use your senses.
Yeah.
What are you listening to right now?
What do you hear?
Yeah.
What can you see?
Yeah.
What can you...
I found that in my law enforcement career, when I get someone that's hysterical on the scene, I found that get them back out of that medulla, which is the dog brain, to get them back up in the logical brain. What's the social security number again? I just gave it to you, but okay, I wrote it down wrong. Could you give it to me again, please?
So the same idea. Right?
Yeah, get them into the numbers. What's your date of birth? How many kids do you get them into the numbers, get them talking logical. And it's funny, they'll be literally screaming one minute, next minute, oh yeah, it's da 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 da, and they're totally different person.
Right.
And I try to keep them here so I can talk to them versus the wild, crazy, screaming.
What I have hoped to have done with patients with panic, they're a challenge, is to have them on medication that I've got it sufficiently blocked that it doesn't overwhelm.
Wow. What do you use?
The SSRIs.
Really?
Prozac, Zol, and for anxiety, panic, you need significantly higher doses of the same medication that we use to treat depression. So
Exactly.
if you have somebody on, let's pretend, 100 milligrams of sertraline Zoloft, the person with anxiety panic may need 250.
Yeah.
Yeah. Double it, and you've got anxiety to addressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're getting success with that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, that's been my experience as well.
I mean, they still have anxiety.
Yeah, right.
And
it doesn't eliminate it.
Yeah, and they have maybe partial panic. They start to go into a panic.
Right. They start to escalate, but it kind of caps it.
It does.
That's beautiful.
All right, I got a question for both of you. People that suffer from anxiety, that just kind of has that, it just comes on.
Yes.
And what is a good thing? So you're not medicated, okay, and you're feeling anxious today. Is there anything like coffee, cigarettes that
Makes it worse?
Yes.
All of the above.
Oh, okay. Please expand. I'm going to have to tell Susan she's right, but go ahead.
Well,
You're killing me here, Molly.
No. I'm going to amend. Now I'm going to amend this. I'll throw a wrench in it.
All right, go. Cool.
So, caffeine can escalate anxiety. What was the other?
Cigarettes. Yeah.
Same thing. So cigarettes are nicotine. Coffee's the caffeine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say you also have attention deficit disorder. All right.
You're describing me. Go ahead.
Right. If you do, and you're on the right medicines for that, okay, things like nicotine, things like caffeine should help you relax. Just like I tell somebody I'm going to prescribe a mixed amphetamine salt for your whatever, Adderall, essentially. And if you need this, clinically I think you do, right, you will suddenly start to feel calm, confident. You will slow down. It will not speed you up. So, because the stimulants are acting on part of your brain that needs them. Now, if you have ADD, it's an argument that's plausible. I said it's a monkey wrench, right?
Right.
That caffeine and nicotine may be easing your anxiety. Not that I would recommend that, but...
Well, so I'll tell you what happened. I was anxious as hell yesterday on the way home. It's raining, the trailer's giving me a little bit more of a fishtail than what I wanted. So I'm thinking I got this very expensive trailer behind my truck. And so I was just really tuned in, but I was drinking coffee.
Okay.
And my wife says, well, don't you think that you're feeling, I'm telling her, I'm taking deep breaths and I'm doing some grounding while we're driving. And she's like, what's wrong? And I said, I'm very anxious today.
Right.
I'm having a lot of anxiety.
Right.
And she's like, well, it's probably all the coffee you drank. And I'm like, I know the difference between anxiety and having a caffeine buzz. They're two totally different things. So, which got me thinking I didn't think she was wrong.
Right.
So I thought, well, I'm going to limit the coffee intake. And I did, so I just switched over to Gatorade because he had hydrate. So that's why I was wanting to ask, since we're talking to our audience, what are the things that, so I am feeling anxious. Do I drink coffee, and what if I smoke?
No, yeah.
Does that pour gasoline on their fire?
It pours gasoline on the fire. I shouldn't have gotten complicated with the ADD story.
No, that's okay.
But yeah. So those are things that are going to make it worse.
So you're a midnight officer. You're not sleeping with a shit.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Worse yet, I live in a ranch style house and I got young kids at home and I'm working midnight, so the kids are noisy during the day, so I'm having broken sleep, so I'm going to drink the coffee to wake up to go to work, or energy drinks. Does that 10 times as bad, right?
Oh yeah.
Everybody's drinking the Bang whatever energy drinks or Red Bulls. My relief sergeant, he's like, hey Sarge, why don't you try what the hell was he drinking? Monster. I thought I was going to fucking die. And I only drank a small one. He drank 2 great big ones a night. I'm like, whew, talk about heart palpitations.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the maximum recommended dose of caffeine, ideal dose, is 200 milligrams a day.
How many cups for us public school attendees?
I don't know. I think it may be close to 2.
Okay, so 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah, maybe 1. I don't know the amount in 1 cup.
Well, that's all right.
Depends on how strong you make it, too.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, I'm not. We're not going to hold you to it. Okay, but 200. Okay, so whatever it is, you Googlers out there, go Google and then comment on our Facebook page. So I'm trying to get some fan interaction here. But I abuse the hell out of caffeine, and I remember when my intake here, you're like, do you abuse any drugs? No, just bean water, man. I tear it up. I really do. But that's kind of my only vice. But now what you're telling me, I'm learning something out of this show, is that I do have that ADD. So it does have that. I think it has a balancing effect for me.
Calms you down.
But that's not everybody. And one thing I want to do is okay, let's get you guys to sleep. So the poor person that's listening to this 2-part series, like, I can't drink now. And now you're taking my caffeine away. Fuck this show. Click. No. What do we do? I mean, how do we get him that healing? Let's find that balance.
How do we get him to sleep?
Yeah. How do we get him to sleep, first of all? That's the first step, right?
Yep.
Either one of you.
Yeah. If you can't sleep, there's you're just going to be miserable. You can't process anything.
Okay.
You can't recover.
Right.
Your mood stays low.
Okay.
You have to sleep. So got to go through all the things someone is doing before they get in bed or try to go to sleep, right? It's just standard sleep hygiene stuff, but it's so helpful if you could begin when someone is beginning to get PTSD and those symptoms start, if you could treat them right away.
All right. Either
Sooner
one,
the
fire
better.
away.
Yeah.
How do I know I'm getting PTSD? Because I can tell you I've had several people write us and say, oh my God, that's what's wrong with me. We had a really wonderful, I shared that with our group. I'll send it to you, but it's like a novel. This guy's like, oh my God, I started listening to your show for whatever reason, referral, whatever, and I had no idea that's what was wrong. So what are some signs?
Sleep.
Okay, lack of sleep.
Yep. I would think the next thing that would be more isolating, you're not going to the things that you normally went to. Your relationship with your spouse, you're more irritable.
Okay, so lack of sleep, irritability.
Irritability is a big one.
Now I don't want to go do whatever.
Yeah, so you want to just stay home, and you probably don't say this out loud, but home becomes the only place you really feel safe.
Okay, yeah,
so,
check box.
So, I mean, whereas you used to be able to go to a block party or, go to the sports bar, you don't want to do it. You say things like, I don't want to watch that show. Right, so you're starting to pull away from reminders, right?
Yeah.
Start to feel that you don't have value in what you're doing. That you're just surviving, trudging along, and there's no end of this in sight, and it gets worse.
So we got those
nightmares.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Nightmares start when the sleep disruption starts, usually.
Right.
And then that typically, you start to feel more anxious at work in general.
Yeah.
Right. And whereas, you didn't, overthink something, you're doing that now.
Yeah, a lot.
And you can't function like that because it's a split-second decision you got to make.
Yeah.
Right? So if you are second-guessing yourself, you're in danger.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Time to get on a calendar, guys. Yeah.
My experience, just to add to what Amali's saying, is that all the emotional thresholds across the board are all different than they used to be. That never used to make me mad.
Right.
That makes me mad all the time now.
Right.
That sound that my kid makes, it's been making for his entire life, is now bothering the hell out of me. I can't stand it.
Right.
Same thing with sadness. Same thing with fear. I've had so many cops who've talked about how much they need to cry. That's
well, and the thing about it is with me, my wife and I wanted to do karaoke, so there was a new song we were going to work on. But the old 66 song, Say Something Stupid Like I Love You, we wanted to do that song, right?
Nice.
I was a sniveling mess the other day. She's like, what the hell is wrong with you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something hit my cry button.
Right.
Nothing about that song. Old Crow Medicine Show turned it on the other day. Wagon wheel. And my wife's like, well, is it something? No, it has nothing to do with the tune, dude. It's my psyche right now.
And I would say that, very frequently someone suffering from PTSD wakes up and then has no idea why there's so much anxiety that they just barely can get the, uniform on.
Right.
I believe that something has resonated somewhere, somehow, but they don't know what it is.
Right.
It was a dream fragment. It was God knows, right? And they don't know. And it's their anxiety level is just through the roof.
And part of it is the uncertainty. I don't know why. If I could connect with why I'm anxious, maybe I could do something about it. But like Mark's saying, you just hit that emotional button and boom, you're lost in the emotion.
Yeah.
It's helpful to understand that you might have PTSD.
Absolutely.
If you know, and why. I remember, God, what was that? I saw a woman who's now like 99 practically, and she is came European, very sort of rigid environment, a lot of early abuse, Hitler, Germany, a lot of things, right? Right.
Holocaust survivor?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
And I finally said to her, you know what? You have PTSD. You don't have all this other shit that.
Right.
Yeah. Depression and this thing here and.
Yeah, the PTSD is what triggered everything else.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the.
That's the foundation.
Yeah, exactly. And all your other.
So
problems
it's just like
on top of that.
But where we're going with that point is there was like all of a sudden there was this relief on her face.
Once you get the diagnosis.
That's what's wrong.
That's what's wrong.
Yeah.
All the Yeah.
Now I can deal with it.
99.
Yeah.
She's still kicking too.
Yeah.
Good for her. God bless her. We had talked on the break. I'm sorry. Were we done with that?
I don't know.
We could go anywhere, man.
Well, the biggest thing is, boys and girls, get to sleep. If you're not getting to sleep, oh, that's where I wanted to ask you. And I don't want to muddy the waters because we shared one time that you need to go. Say they can't get in to see you for a while,
Right.
but we need to get to sleep.
Right.
So I'm not going to do alcohol. Can I go to my general practitioner?
Yes. Excellent.
And ask for sleep meds? What if I come to you and get sleep meds? Will my general practitioner get mad? I'm cheating on them? I'm kidding with that.
No. So I thought where you were going is if I can't see you right away.
Right. Yeah. That it's a twofold question.
So one of the things I've done, and it's probably technically one shouldn't do it because by doing it you're automatically establishing a doctor-patient relationship. But I will talk to somebody, get a little bit of an idea of what they're struggling with, and I will say, I'm just tossing this out, but what you could do is talk to your family doc, because I think what I would start you on would be A, B, C. That's a little dicey because I'm just on the phone, right, with someone. Right. But I just say, call your, family doc and see if they are willing to start you on Zoloft or, whatever.
Get them a foundation. Get them something that's going to...
Right.
Let's get your foot in the door.
Right. Right, and so like melatonin. There's over-the-counter stuff, but there's also some other good stuff that you can be prescribed that'll help both your, sleep, anxiety, and hopefully your PTSD.
Now, when I tell people about melatonin, is it less is more? Am I right or wrong?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, so they're like, then why do they have like 20 milligrams? I'm like, I have no idea. I said, but I take 5 milligrams.
Right.
I said, the melatonin shuts my brain off, and my concoction is a melatonin and half a NyQuil.
Right.
And NyQuil puts me to sleep.
Right.
And you generally get a good 6 hours.
Yeah, that's good.
With that combination. I mean, it's all over the counter stuff, and it's something you can do today that isn't alcohol related. But once you get into your doctor, don't mix. If you're on antidepressant medication, and here's why, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just the hillbilly on the other end, doesn't slow the liver down.
The alcohol?
No, the antidepressant medication. Don't they? This is what it was explained to me, and if I'm full of shit, please call me out.
Go ahead.
Is that you don't drink while you're on antidepressant medication because there's a factor in that medication that slows your liver down to keep it suspended in the bloodstream. And then when you drink alcohol, it takes longer to process the alcohol.
You get the deer in the headlights look.
Yeah.
From me.
Yeah. Well, but the problem is I've had several people that I've arrested for OVI that are taking antidepressant medication. And they're like, dude, I've only had like 4 beers, and they are fucked up. But once we do urine analysis to realize that, you are taking a high dose of whatever, and you did have 4 beers, and what I was told, and correct me if I'm wrong because I don't have all these beautiful plaques on the wall, is that it slows the body's processing slows down.
Well, your liver is processing alcohol separately from the antidepressants. alcohol, obviously, chronic use impairs the liver, right?
Okay, yeah.
And theoretically, then, the antidepressant that you're taking may not be broken down as well by your liver, and then you end up with too high a dose. But the way that I approach drinking and the SSRIs, obviously you have a golden opportunity to tell somebody, oh no, don't ever drink alcohol if you're on Zoloft, right? But because that's really not quite true, right, I shouldn't say this on the air.
Well, I mean,
it's really not.
We're educational above.
Right.
The biggest thing is don't drink while you're doing drugs or taking.
Don't drink and take a benzo, period.
There you go.
Oh my God, no.
Right. So, and alcohol and pain meds.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So I'll digress for a second there. I mean, I will literally tell a patient who I know is actively drinking wine or beers in the evening, I will say, okay, you have to allow 3 hours from the last sip of wine you've had before you can take that sleeping medication I have you on.
Oh, okay.
So I can usually give very specific, instructions. But the alcohol antidepressant piece is there is really no toxic, dangerous immediate reaction between alcohol and the antidepressant. It's very simply that they defeat each other.
There we go.
Very good. Very good.
So
you end up with nothing.
You end up with nothing because I'm talking about somebody who's really drinking.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, but that's where I want these guys to understand why don't Yeah. My doctor said don't do it. Well, why?
Right.
With those meds, it's really about the fact that you're defeating the whole point.
If you want the SSRI to work, you have to stop drinking.
Correct.
Okay, because all you're doing is undoing. Go ahead.
Yeah, all you're doing is undoing it. Now, the caveat I have, in all honesty, right, full disclosure, I will answer a question put to me like, "Hey, doc, can I have a glass of wine or a beer if I'm on this medicine?" And I say, "Yes, one."
Yeah, a social drink.
Yes, one. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to go out and end up face down in the gutter. That's
one, and not every day.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to make
reasonableness.
Yeah, and I also want to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are very toxic interactions between benzos and alcohol,
oh my God.
opiates and alcohol,
Yeah.
and they can kill you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't do drugs. I'm good. If you don't watch South Park, that joke just fell on its face, didn't it?
I didn't hear it. I've watched South Park.
Oh, don't do Mr. Mackay on there.
Oh, no.
I'm good. Don't do drugs. I'm good. It's cool you watch South Park. There's the why to it, boys and girls. So just you're offsetting any progress that you got, and we're all about getting on the sunny side of the mountain, which is where I think I am now. I mean, we kind of regress back once in a while, which is why I'm still on your calendar and I'm still on Jerry Kanapke's calendar. It's maintenance. We talk about here on the Shield Within every day's a therapy day, and listening to this show is, I hope, part of your therapy day. And I know people say, why don't you come out with more episodes? Well, I can answer that real easy because this is a lot of work, boys and girls.
Do you edit it?
Yes.
And listen to it?
That's what Donnie does. And Molly had said, cue the music. So when you listen to the show, we have music that brings us in.
Right.
And that is a song called Save Me. Jelly Roll doesn't, to make you hip, if you want to listen to him. It's a wonderful song. And we just plunked it out on the guitar, which is also the outro music. And David wrote some really wonderful words to start us in. And then some really wonderful words, and realize just quite the poet that you are, to take us out. And just for those of us listening, Dr. Hall has not listened to The Shield Within. And
purposely.
Purposely, that's right. We talked about it, and I started begging her to come on a year ago. Not necessarily. We talked about it in session.
About it, yeah.
And just because I want people to experience the wonderfulness that I get out of this office, and especially being with just what a true professional. I think in the first time, you are a psychiatrist.
Correct.
Yeah, we did talk about that, didn't we? My short-term memory loss. But, so we have a therapist of 40 years and a psychiatrist here at the same table.
42 years.
42, yeah. and a 30-year retired police sergeant
There you
who's
go.
FUBAR. Molly can tell you I'm a 10 of 10. She's the one that said that.
I never said that.
Well, I got the paperwork. Anyway,
All right.
that's right. Deny. What's the trial lawyer's creed? Admit nothing, deny everything, make counter accusations. But, which is okay. I put myself out there so you all know.
I think that's great.
Listening can see what survival is. And in the last episode, we talked about, my journey and how working through the survivorship of it. So where we get started at when we start going down that rabbit hole for all of you that are at the bottom of the mountain looking up, and how do I get through this? How do I put my marriage back together? And I think what I'm hearing from the both of you is a simple thing is get to sleep, guys. Once we get you sleeping, then we can start working.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a huge been a project for me my whole life, really, is insomnia. And so working with myself with insomnia and then listening to other people go through their process, I'm right with you. Sleep hygiene is like a massive thing for me. And to me, it's 120 minutes before you want to put your head on the pillow. You start working towards sleep. And you go through a protocol. It's pretty much predictable. It's pretty much the same, given the fact that your kid got sick and your wife's home late or whatever. There are things that vary it, but your basic construction of sequence, A, B, C, D, lay head on pillow.
Yes.
And I will go to sleep. And then part of the protocol before you initiate sleep is the things that you do to maintain it. So I have a girl who's late 20s. She has just gone through a very large self-assessment and decided that she's very unhappy because her work is nothing like satisfying to her.
Okay.
So we looked over the whole thing in search of the one thing that we really need to do the most. And that's what I try and do with my coaching approach. And we got down to a lot of good things are going on for her except sleep. So, and sleep rules everything. So we worked on what do you do to get to sleep, and we came up with a sequence of things she would do starting about 90 minutes before her head hits the pillow. And she started doing them, and the key thing for her was the use of a soundscape, which I'm using now with a lot of people.
They're great.
They're great.
Explain that a little more.
A soundscape they're incredibly available on YouTube, podcasts everywhere, apps for your phone. Sometimes people can get soothed and relaxed and slow everything down when they're listening to the sound of an ocean hitting the beach, wave after wave after wave. For my lady I'm talking about, it's the sound of a thunderstorm.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So she's got an app or something that's
crackling along in the background.
Exactly, yes. And it just like soothes her. And so she got her sequence down. She's using her soundscape. She's getting good 6 hours of sleep, but needs more. So what happens? Well, I get up in the middle of the night to tend to my kids, or I got to go to the bathroom, or I need a drink of water, and I get back into bed, and I can't go to sleep. So we went through A, B, C, and D during our hour, and I said, how about if you just turn the soundscape back on?
Never thought of that.
Oh, this happens a lot.
And boom,
Right
she's
back
going
to
to sleep
sleep.
in 8 hours.
Oh, wow.
And wakes up in the morning feeling like she's ready to kick ass. And so that sequence, identifying these are the things that soothe me, that relax me, that comfort me, that will get me to initiate. And then we do a little bit more to make sure you can maintain.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And it makes a huge difference. All the other symptomology becomes manageable if I've got sleep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It certainly helps. Going back to the nature of the trauma exposure in your first responders and your police, the real problem is the chronicity and re-exposure and re-exposure and re-exposure and re-exposure, and that's also what I meant when I said by the time you get in here, it's pretty rutted in your brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's very important.
Well, and that's the thing that I talk about for all of you that are out there still doing the job, and God bless every one of you. The society needs our sheepdogs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that you've chosen a profession, and I'd be the first one to tell you, I ate, slept, and shit being a cop.
I absolutely did.
Yeah. I loved my job until I didn't. But that wasn't my choosing. That was things happened above my pay grade and above my control.
Right.
It's a great profession.
It is.
But it is like walking through a minefield. You're walking over that sandy beach, but you never know when it's going to be there. So keep your work and get into therapy, because you may be good today, but get on the calendar. Once this starts, and either one of you, how many people come in and then here come the floodgates? I mean, it just dumps out in the office. But once you get it at a manageable rate, like with EMDR, and things like the stellate ganglion block, which is what I've had done. We talked about that on break too.
Okay.
Which was maintaining yourself as a first responder and using EMDR as like taking your car in for an oil change.
Yep, that's a great idea too.
You know, I have a colleague that has an assignment where they work for the homicide squad, and I'm really concerned for them because it's now you went from enough. I shouldn't say enough. What am I trying to say? Me as a patrol sergeant, I saw it. I saw a bunch of shit. But now, if you're in homicide, you're exposed to violent death every day. You know, I watched if you watched the last series of The Homicide Hunter, have you seen that? It was on A&E. Joe Kenda was out at Colorado Springs Police Department. Great series, very well done. I loved his wit. But his last show, he talked about all the homicides that were going through his head, because how much PTSD he had from it.
Right.
But, you know, like with me, I've had thousands of traumas over my career, and I'm just scratching the surface for getting them healed. But what brought me down from the stellate ganglion block from earlier episodes we had here, David was very much a part of that. And our PCL, how do I know I have PTSD?
Yeah.
Is go to the PCL5 test. Take the test. Be honest with yourself.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and if you're 38 or whatever
the score is, but it's just online. Just
go online, take it.
Yeah,
I scored. What was it, David?
66.
38 means you probably ought to go see a therapist, and I was a 66 of 38.
That's a great idea. When you asked us, initially, what's the first thing that you notice, and we talked about sleep and the anxiety, and go look at that scale. Yeah,
you don't have to go to a therapist. Just get online and fill it out. What was it, 1 through 4?
20.
It's 20 questions.
1 through 5.
1 through 5.
Is the way
and be honest with it. So I went in. We did the jab with Dr. Kruer at Beacon Medical.
Right.
I fell asleep on the way home because David was there. My wife Susan drove. I hadn't been that relaxed. I hadn't fallen asleep in the car in years. First time around was very good. Second time around was really pretty life-changing. I can be honest with you, because you asked me about that. How's that going? And the second one, I did EMDR. I had a 2-hour EMDR session. We did it 2 o'clock on whatever day.
Right.
I was in Jerry's office at 8 a.m.
Okay.
We probably were there for almost 3 hours.
Wow.
A lot of trauma work, man. A lot of trauma work. I walked down the trauma memory lane. I was a freaking roller coaster. I went home with the bed after that. Had to, because I was just mentally shot. Just done. Got up the day after that, and everything was a little different.
Isn't that amazing?
It is absolutely amazing, and this is what I want to share with everyone, is that this can be done.
This can be done.
I've had the pleasure of being both of y'all's patient, and, there is a fix, but you got to be willing to do the work, number one. Like David always says, you're just not in enough pain yet to get there. Well, and it's so true, and we were speaking on the way down that you really want to help people. I really want to help people, and I get so frustrated when I try to, here's the roadmap, guys. Pick the map up. Give me another beer. I'm fine. Okay. And God bless you.
Yeah.
But, guys, get to sleep. Get that sleep in. Get to a therapist.
Your primary care doc
Yeah, that's where we went with that.
Yeah, tell them about sleep. And there's some good things you can take for sleep at night that are prescription, but they're not benzos. They're not addicting.
Right.
You know? Trazodone, low-dose mirtazapine.
Trazodone will put you down.
Yes, it will.
But allow yourself enough time to sleep, guys.
Yes, you're right.
You know, don't take a trazodone
for 4 hours.
Yeah, well, they do it. You know, it's like these assholes eating edibles. I don't like them because I don't like the effects of marijuana, but people's like, oh, we're going to take an edible. They forget that, hey, it takes you about 30 minutes for your stomach to react,
60.
Okay, 60. There we go. Better yet. You got to wait an hour. I didn't know that either. See, you're learning things here on the Shield Within.
Yeah, you do.
So if you're going to take an edible, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, take it and wait an hour.
Yeah, because there's different grades of marijuana. My daughter lives in Oregon.
Yep.
She's like, it's legal out here, Dad. You need to try some of these that calm your ass down.
And PTSD is a qualifying condition.
Yes.
For medical
First thing, I forgot about that.
Yes.
For medical marijuana.
Yeah, Dr. Hall was going to sign my card, but I like my guns better than I like marijuana.
That's not prohibitive.
Yes.
You lose your CCW, though, right?
They've changed it.
Did they change it?
Yes, they
okay.
did.
Well, see, I learned something else.
I have 2 veterans who have.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll be talking.
Yeah. No, I do. I register people for the card.
It is a wonderful tool.
Yeah.
Well, it really is.
Yeah.
And I used to be totally against it, but I'm not.
Right.
But where I'm going with that is it's going to take you an hour. Once you take your edible, wait your hour, gang.
Right.
Because what happens is, I took half, felt nothing. So then I'm going to take another half, felt nothing, start in on the third one, and then I think I'm going to die. So here comes the medic call. Here comes the call to the police. These people are all flipped out. It's like, you knuckleheads. Yeah, so it's an hour, boys and girls.
And it's really a part of the whole sleep hygiene protocol.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as with you take your med. When do you take your med? When do you take the clonidine? How many minutes, hours before you want to have your head hit the pillow do you take that drug? And then what are you doing in that hour or 45 minutes or hour and a half? What are you doing, engaging and thinking about? That's an important part of it. If you want the meds to work, do the other steps that ensure that the meds work and you sleep good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's our whole culture is anti-sleep.
Oh,
so
God.
It's
yeah, guys, let's get to sleep. Okay, so question for both of you. I'm going to throw this out again. So sleepers are pathway to recovery.
Yes. First step.
There you go, guys. Sleep is your first step. Don't act like I'll sleep when I'm dead. Wrong theory.
Right.
You don't get rewarded for working that extra 4 hours of overtime, guys. Right. Especially when and don't borrow from Peter to pay Paul. Don't think I'm going to sleep tomorrow to make up for the lack today. Don't put yourself through that 24-hour cycle. All it does is it's a job. It's a job. Don't self-sacrifice.
And sleep, we are learning now, is so critical because it's the period of time that your brain actually dumps toxins into your lymphatic system and carries them away.
Exactly. I didn't know that. Wow.
It's a beautiful metaphor for the filing and the whole brain work that happens during sleep. It eliminates toxins.
Yes.
It takes care of your trauma processing.
Little bits and pieces of neuron trash get dumped.
Yep.
So you really want to do that.
Yeah.
So in essence, it's flushing the toilet.
That's it.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
For those of you that like me, to put a good visual in your mind, guys. You want to stay up all day. All you're doing is you're not cleansing the system.
Right.
So go to sleep. I mean, it's a simple thing, and then take that PCL-5 test.
Yeah, there are 20 questions.
Right.
One for each symptom of PTSD in the DSM-5.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
that simple.
Yeah. And if you're over 38, whatever, it's on there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on. It should be published.
Yeah.
Yeah, if your score's higher than that, then if you need more reasons to get in, and don't think that you're going to get it done in a couple of sessions. Right. I started my path in 2010 with David. Mm-hmm. It's now 2023. It's 13 years in. But it's a maintenance thing, and if you're on the job, you should be in therapy. That should be part of your routine.
That would be great.
When you look at your month, you see something on the calendar that says, I need to see somebody for my work inside. Not just the gym, not just stuff going on with your kids, whatever. It also has to include you and your own welfare.
Yeah, do that self-care. Self-care is so critical. You know, you'll run into a burning building for somebody you don't know. Why won't you walk up the street and see a therapist for the person you do know before you start looking in the mirror and hating that person like I was for a very long time?
Right, exactly.
And making those bad life choices and drug abuse, alcohol abuse. This is where it's all trauma-based, right?
Yes, right.
Yes, it is.
It's all trauma-based.
I could make a point that so much of the other mental health disorders that we have seen in adults often arise because of the abuse they've suffered as children, and it's the same kind of abuse as cops because it's recurrent over and over. If you have an abusive parent, you're going to get traumatized again and again and again and again. Just like if you're, a cop in your work.
Right.
And I'm going to start another hour-long conversation with this statement. David has talked about how much cops bring to the job.
Mm-hmm.
How much abuse did you have at home where made you decide, hey, I want to go do this to help others? So before you even walk through the door and say and swear on that Bible to uphold, how much are you carrying into the job?
See, I have the kind of information that I have in each story, right? Yeah. I always ask those questions. And very much what you bring to the job in makes you more or less vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
If you've grown up in domestic violence, right? If you've been abused yourself, if you've known hunger, bullying, there's a lot there.
Yeah,
there's a lot now, and you get fabulously wonderful officers out of that matrix, right?
True.
But you often have trouble early.
Yeah. So you're 2.5 years into the job before things start affecting you.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah, because your wagon's already half full.
And you usually start off feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's what we've talked about on the show, like with the Kelly talked about her first, and she really, good Lord, her first 2 weeks on the job was just trauma. I mean, major traumas.
More than most.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she had a stellar, Then we had a really popular, friendly person that everyone in the community knew. That was her first dead body call. Then we had another family there. We had a drowning that we knew, personally, because they were huge supporters of the police department, and it's just, her first 2 weeks were huge, but she was like, hey, I don't need therapy. This is what I want to do. And veteran cops go, well, if you can't take it. And she's like, no, it's not that I can't take it. Just give me a minute. I got to process this first.
Yeah.
And she wanted to become a cop because of her family history. Yeah. She's like, I want to be that person because they treated me really nice.
Exactly. I have cases exactly like that where they want to become a police officer because their exposure to the police they called them in on domestic violence cases between their parents, right?
Right.
And they were kind. They were compassionate. Child remembers that, right? And that's a beautiful thing.
I find that so many folks who go through early childhood trauma end up at age 10, 12, 15, etc., feeling like there's no sense of belonging. Police culture is a place to belong.
Just like the military.
It swallows you. Exactly. And so all of a sudden, I've never felt like I had a place to belong. Now I have a place to belong.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
And you sign on to the culture, regardless of how toxic it is, because the feeling of belongingness is now met.
Yes. I could not say it better.
Yeah. It's just sad.
But there's a lot of wonderful police officers who've gone through a very bad beginning to their lives.
Yes.
Right?
And they recover.
And
become awesome police officers. And I would like to use Kelly as an example.
Yeah.
Kelly was an awesome officer. I didn't have to be there to know that. Yeah. I know that from talking to her.
Right.
She was a really good police officer. But what she walked into the job, she had to carry around with her, in addition to all the other stuff that happened in the first 2 weeks.
It's amazing.
And beyond.
She was a cop for 8 years and decided,
can't do it, don't want to do it?
It was a combination of things, which she's talked about.
Right.
She got super vulnerable on one episode, which really triggered a lot. I shouldn't say triggered. It really brought in a lot of great responses.
Sure.
Because she was allowed herself to be that vulnerable in the episode. Mm-hmm. But she had made a family decision that she didn't feel that the department that we were at was going to have her back. Mm-hmm. And she thought, why am I putting myself out there? Why am I? And she left the department I retired from and went to another one.
Okay.
So she was working for that department too. She said, but she was treated better there. Mm-hmm. But she kind of put things back in perspective. And when she got pregnant with her second child, they were just like, well, what are you doing getting pregnant? Well, we're going to extend your probation then. She's like, I've already been a cop for 6 years. It's not like I'm learning. So they reassigned her to the detective bureau, because she can't carry a gun when you're pregnant, right? And was doing just stellar work. So, but then, some things happened there. She's like, you know what? Why am I doing this? Fuck this.
Yeah.
So she went and retired. And now she's doing real estate, and she's just killing it. Mm-hmm. She's very happy. And it's not that the job is a bad job. It's a great job. And you have that sense of belonging, but it all starts at the corner office. And if you have that good, strong, there is leadership and then there's management. And reading Dr. Yates's book, The Courageous Police Leader. Did you like the book? We talked about that in the last episode.
Yeah, I reread it.
We didn't come back to it.
Yeah, I reread it before this show.
Give you a lot of insight?
Well, it made me feel very troubled about how, separated all the units are and how the command structure can be so capricious, in one place versus another. Mm-hmm. And then how do you begin to get your arms around that? How do you train officers? Well, that's the book, right? To recognize what kind of culture they're in.
Yes.
And frankly, it's a bit of a rant.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's the only detractor
I think it's at a rant level because of where we are today.
I think
because those toxic people have infiltrated management because they're on that path. I think back in the day, okay, let me summarize this. I have a student in the current police academy who his grandfather was my captain at the sheriff's department.
Wow.
And I said, "You're who?" And I said, "I love that man. That man took care of people. That department was awesome when that man was there." Mm-hmm. And this guy, and this guy, and this guy, who aren't there anymore. But when they were there, they took care of their people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the number one thing is take care of your people. Go ahead.
Well, I had occasion to interview several cops who are really struggling terribly with the trauma they experienced by just walking outdoors in a uniform.
Yeah.
Yes.
Target on my back.
Yes.
Who's going to shoot me today? Who's going to shoot me today?
Right.
And
you mean the public or the command staff?
Well,
I'm serious.
Well, I was thinking in terms of the public. Spoke to a guy, won't leave the station without a fellow officer to go down and just have lunch or because they get people shout things and call them pigs and all of that.
Right.
And that's turning into another source of trauma now.
Yeah. But see, with my trauma, I could always deal with the guy on the street. Hey, motherfucker. Hey, how you doing? I'd flip him the bird and wave back. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant all five. Yeah. I could roll with that. Of course, clearly right now it's okay. But I was always taught to respect those people, and that's another cultural thing. I don't want to spend an hour on that. But I mean, to me, if you're that affected, what steps are you taking to correct yourself and to change careers to where you can be happy?
Oh, I'm really talking about the current media environment and cops, right?
Yeah.
And I just think you're at far more risk of being taunted and, threatened and today.
Right.
And I don't think that was as true.
No, not in years past. I mean, it's worse now, but you can't let that affect you. We still got a job to do. But what I'm talking about is for the patient specifically, or the client specifically, if that's where you're at.
Oh, yes, I get you.
You know, what steps can you take to come out of the job? You know, are you educated? Do you have a plan to leave? I can't leave because of financial reasons, yada, yada, yada. There is a ton of people in private practice wanting to hire former law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
A ton. And so many of them have left and they're like, what the hell did I stay here for?
Right.
You know, why did, the crappy schedule and all that. And
Yeah, but it's because of love.
well, right. I did the job out of passion.
Mm-hmm.
I did the job because I loved what I was doing. I mean, I didn't have no ego trip. You know, I didn't get off on telling people what to do or what. So that was never it. My thing was always to help people. How can I make my community better?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was always the guy that, treat everybody like a relative that you like.
Mm.
You know, this is a people job. You know, I come out of the service industry. Hell, I sold cars for Christ's sakes. You know, and it's all.
I could see that.
Oh yeah, I could sell shit to a manure factory. Let me tell you. But Paul Butler, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a lecturer. He's great. Look him up on LinkedIn. He's fabulous. But he talks about, we're targeting the wrong group. They just lowered the hiring age to 18 to be a police officer. But I think they're targeting the wrong group. I think what we need to look at is these midlife professionals.
That is where they're all coming from into my office.
Yes.
Another reason I think it would be interesting to come back on this show is I'm going to, review all 100 plus cases I have by then, and I am always looking for what could we learn, from this or from that. But I just took a quick glance. They're all, I would say, 80% between the ages of 43, 40 to 50.
Mm-hmm. They've been on the job.
They've been 15, on the job,
20.
15, yeah. I mean, some are less than that,
right.
but majority are just what you said, kind of that age.
In the midlife people.
Yep.
But where I was going with that is to start the career there in midlife, because you're older now, you're more mature,
right?
You're better to make decisions. I think you're more ample to take better care of yourself, and you have more empathy towards the people you're working for. Because what Paul said, and it's so true, waitresses and bartenders generally make the best cops because they make instant rapport. They're able to handle problems on the fly, right? And you're just basically doing some of the same things out of the service industry as what you're doing in law enforcement. So, but the younger people more go do this, go do that, without so much question. But
yeah, but I mean, the same reason the military wants youth is because you're physically stronger and your eyesight's better and your reflexes are faster. And
and this is a young man's job.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. My last 2 years, I mean, I felt my body change dramatically. But and it was harder to do the job carrying around another 35 pounds. So since I missed the weight so much, I just eat like a pig. So now I carry it all the time.
So let's say you're yourself and you're a new recruit, right? How much tolerance would you have for somebody like Dave or myself getting in front of the class, right? Or small group and talking about what may lie ahead? I mean,
how much tolerance? This is exactly where we're doing the show. I mean, I would love to take you guys out on the road. This is such great knowledge building.
Would you have chafed against sitting down?
A young officer? Yes, absolutely.
He's nodding. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. When I was a new guy, I wanted to learn. I wanted to go create my own stories.
Sure, yeah.
Because I hear all the old hats. Yeah, well, back in the day, I wanted to be that guy. So someone walking into the academy saying, "Guys, take care of your brain bucket," which I do. I'm that old guy that stands in front of, because I'm blessed right now to still be a trainer, to get up and to tell these guys, take care of your head. And if you need some help, listen to the show within. No, I don't advertise the show. What I do tell them, and they look at me as I would have.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, get out of here, old man. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
But here you are. You're 8-10 years on the job, and look at what's happened to you. So we've hit that magic number.
All righty.
What number?
We're at 1 hour and 8 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. The world will now end, as we know.
Well, I was going to wrap
Something
us up.
small.
Okay.
As much as I want to sit here for the rest of the day chatting, which I could easily do, because this is great conversation. This is which I knew this would be an epic show, which is why I invited you originally. Putting you two at the same table, yeah, this is pretty special.
So we'll come back.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll definitely. Yeah, and thank you so much for coming in. This is a Sunday that we're doing Sunday morning. We got here about 10 a.m., so it's noon. We've been at this for a couple of hours, and I could spend the rest of the day chatting. It's just everything that we touched on today. It's been educational for me.
Yeah.
Having your vast knowledge. Thank you so much for being here.
I am honored to be taking care of our peeps.
Yes. Yeah. See, boys and girls, listeners, remember, you're in the book, right?
Yep.
What's where all the psychiatrists are? What's that resource?
It's on Psychology Today.
Yeah.
The website.
Yes.
Right.
She's
nice
Dr. Molly Hall. Yeah. Do you want to give your...
Oh, my office number?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. It's 937-545-2893.
There we go.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's been a joy.
Yeah, we'll definitely have him back again.
Oh, good.
So, Donnie, go ahead and key it up.
May your days and nights find you strong and safe. May you take your place as your family's face. As you do the shit that we won't do. As you embrace the risk you must go through. May you grow in strength and heal and find your heart, your soul, and your mind. You look at your life and grin. You have a home, the shield within.